History is replete with moments when people stood at the crossroads of change. And during those times, they become afraid, they become hesitant, yet called to something greater. Think of the early Christians in Rome, torn between the traditions of their Jewish heritage and the radical way of Christ. Think of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. standing against an America that is reluctant to racial equality. Think of the Catholic Church at Vatican II when it courageously opened the windows of the church to the world. Even as many longed for the familiar past. And today, think of yourself. Yes, you standing in the temple of life, torn between the comfort of what you know and the unsettling call of renewal. During my philosophical and theological studies, I had the occasion to participate in the Afizere and Gas cultures representing the northern part of Nigeria in our annual cultural day. As a run-by tribe, I initially struggled to learn the songs of those cultures and indeed the dance steps as well and other intricate details that this entailed. I am acutely aware that colleagues here in Corpus Christi and elsewhere in the world have had to go through similar experiences, deeply rooted in their own cultural heritage. You will agree with me that this involves great sacrifice. If it is not of your time, it is of your skills. If it is not of your skills, it is of your resources. It requires you to step out of your familiar terrain, what you are comfortable with, and to fully immerse yourself into something greater and beyond yourself. As I reflect sincerely on this, one thing becomes clear. Culture and tradition are not just about rituals. They are about identity and transformation. They are about being connected to something beyond, something greater. St. Luke reveals this in his second chapter of the gospel that he writes. In keeping with the tradition of their people, Mary and Joseph presented a child of tradition, a harbinger of change in the temple, namely Jesus Christ. They brought the customary offering, 2 turtle doves and a pair of pigeons. They fulfilled the law. But permit me to say, this was neither an ordinary event or presentation, nor a mere ritual, but it was about renewal, purification, and transformation. Let me demonstrate how culture and tradition are about transformation. In the same second chapter of Luke, Simeon, a righteous and devout man, rejoiced upon seeing Jesus when presented in the temple. When he laid eyes on the child Jesus, He did not just see another Jewish baby. He saw the Messiah, the King of glory, the fulfillment of God's promise. That is why he proclaimed, "My eyes have seen your salvation." Simeon was not alone. Anna the prophetess did the same. She spoke of the child to all who awaited redemption. Yet Simeon warned, this child is destined for the fall and rise of many in Israel. He will be a sign that will be contradicted. What does this mean? It means that while Jesus honored tradition, he also disrupted it. He was both the fulfillment of the law and the one who will shake its very foundations. His coming required change. It demanded transformation. So, friends, I humbly submit to us that this is where the challenge lies today. We human beings have an insatiable appetite for comfort, routine, and predictability. We love the status quo because the status quo does not inconvenience us. We hold on to tradition, not because we understand it, but because it makes us feel safe. We resist the new, not because it is wrong, but because it threatens our very comfort. I have seen it before. I have seen it in the sacred halls of learning, where the young mind resists new ideas, clinging to outdated knowledge. I have also seen it in the corridors of power, where men and women hold on to and resist justice simply because justice demands accountability and responsibility. The church is not left out. I've seen it in the church where we say we want renewal, but we resist change because renewal will shake the foundations of our self-righteousness, of our self-promotion, of our complacency. But I am here this afternoon to tell someone who is under the sound of my voice that the status quo is the enemy of progress. The status quo is the grave of dreams. The status quo is the altar upon which visions are sacrificed. I say to you, transformation is never painless. The ancient prophet Malachi understood the meaning of this when he spoke a very long time ago, saying, he will sit refining and purifying like gold and silver. Now, I do not know if you have seen how gold and silver are purified, but I tell you they require fire. They require heat so that it will take away the impurities and that the gold will shine until its glory is finally shown. And so I ask you today, will you still say, this is how it has always been done, And this is how it should be done from now forward. Even if you still hold on to the past, I want to let you know that the prophet says something that is refreshing to you. And the author of the letter to the Hebrews summarizes this directly in this way to you, calling you by name, dear Moses, dear Francis, dear Martha, dear Pamela. You can insert your name. This is what he says to you. Because he himself was tested through what he suffered, he is able to help those who are being tested. That is why he is able to identify with his brothers, with his sisters, and you are one of them. That means Jesus knows your struggle. He knows your fears. He knows what it means to step out into the unknown. He knows what it means to carry the weight of change, to walk the road that leads to suffering. But he walked that road so that you will not have to walk it alone. So today is a day of decision. As for me, my position is this. If the master went through suffering, then I am refreshed that if I go through suffering myself, the way he came out so victoriously, that is the way I'm going to come out victoriously. But I do not know what you think about this. I dare to ask you today, will you lay your fears, your doubts, your struggles, your past upon the altar and say, here I am, Lord. Purify me, sanctify me, renew me.